Hi guys, what is going on? And welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So this time we are diving back in time, way back to Season 3, to have a look at the fairly well-known pike unit, the Fortebraccio Pikemen. So quite an interesting unit. I know I say that at the start of every time, but they really are. So when these guys released way back in Season 3, I mean, if you were playing the game at the time, you'll know they were a super dominant unit. They basically insta-killed everything they touched, particularly in brace formation, and they were really hard to counter. Yes, they're kind of vulnerable to range, but they were often placed on the inside of gateways, doorways, things like that. Extremely hard to sort of get round them, particularly on the Regionopolis map that we had at the time. They were sort of almost impossible to dislodge, the Imperial Pikes sort of really being the only thing around them. They obviously it's basically insta-killed heroes as well, and they were just a really impressive unit. But we are no longer in Season 3. Times have changed, the unit has been nerfed, and the meta's kind of moved on. So, firstly, the nerfs that they received. Not just this unit, but all pike units, but it's kind of affected Fortebraccios the most, and that's there's now a minimum damage range bracing. So, in effect, if you get within 2 models distance of the Fortebraccios, I can't even see the top of the pike here, but you get too close to them, in effect they do no damage, because you're too close and they can't stab you with the pointy bit on the end. They can only just sort of hit you with a metal shaft, and so their effectiveness is greatly reduced. Basically, do no damage. So that's a huge nerf because it means once you get close to them, you don't get any damage. So if you get a unit of condos up and close and in their face without dying, if you can get past the block, past the brace, then Fortebraccios will collapse pretty quick. That's why ASAPs are so effective against them now. On top of that, the meta has also changed. Things like stalwarts have been introduced. Stalwarts are hugely effective at basically beating Fortebraccios because the block on the Stalwarts is so intense that the Fortebraccios basically does no damage to them. So the Stalwarts can just push straight through the line of pikes and then basically just brace in the face of the Fortebraccios, and it just means the Fortebraccios just collapse, basically. They just don't stand a chance in that sort of situation. And so the long nutshell is that Fortebraccios aren't the unit that they once were. They aren't as powerful as they were way back in 3. But they can still, in some situations, be effective. Firstly, they're really no longer a solo unit. You need to have a friendly shield wall, or at least some sort of buffer. I mean, it can just be some friendly sword infantry, or even some peasants, or something to put between you and the enemy unit, so that the enemy unit can't get up in your face. And that's going to mean you can continue to apply that brace damage, and that's really what this unit is about. Or you need to find a suitable situation. I found a good one to be going down staircases. Don't sit at the bottom, but sit to the side. The enemy can't attack you without coming down and around, because your pikes effectively are spread across the staircase, adjacent to it. So that means that you basically get a chance to put that damage in. Particularly if you can then get a friendly unit to sit at the bottom of the staircase, it's a real good situation. Very hard for the enemy to dodge that. Another situation that I found to be really nice with these guys, and if we find the thing, if you advance them in a block, and then basically as you get close to whatever you want to deal with, if you press V then, because they're in that dense blob, they basically all come out of brace and stab at once, and because they're then no longer in that brace formation, they don't get the reduced damage, so they hit to 1,000, 1,500, and because there's 32 of them all in one block, all in one close range, and if you do that on an enemy hero, they're basically all going to stab that enemy hero because their spikes are so long, basically can almost instant heroes. After that, they then start to disperse back out of that block formation and they lose their effectiveness. You'll have to regroup them and auto-attack again. But fighting out of brace is actually a semi-viable move for these guys now in a way that it certainly wouldn't have been done pre-Season 3. So, anyway, let's hop into some battles with them. Although, maybe we should have a quick look at the Doctorines, I suppose. A lot of this stuff I got way back in Season 3 to kind of do them. Breakthrough Doctrine, obviously, trying to min-max that damage to unit. One of my favourite Doctrines in the game, these increased bracing damage Doctrine. Really quite a rare Doctrine to get now. But, yeah, that 100 extra damage, real nice one, really increases their bracing damage. I even threw on a rare piercing damage Doctrine to try and really just max that damage out. And then obviously give them a little bit of extra defense with that piercing. And finally a little bit of piercing armor. Though they don't really do that. You will, if you do the challenges now, you will unlock this sort of increased armor penetration versus cavalry, but it's really a pretty worthless doctrine. Armor penetration is already realistically high enough, and most of the time you're going to be fighting infantry. Just really isn't worth putting it on as a doctrine, in my opinion. Obviously, if you want to unlock them, you have to go back to the Season 3 stuff. Find them down here. 4 sets of challenges to do, although 3 to actually get the unit and just 1 to finish them off, so not too bad all in all, I suppose. You do get some of these unit XP tokens along the way, so you can kind of help level them up slightly. Unit kit cost is about 4,100 bronze, something like that, but it's only sort of busy. Anyway, let's hop into a battle, see how we've been getting on, and see what these guys are actually like in combat. So for our first clip, we are in on Orlenburg. Actually starting off on the B point. I wasn't really very happy with our positioning. We've already lost the supply point. The bulk of the enemies are starting to push that A point, while I'm sat here over on B being shot to death by arrows. And you can almost hear the cogs whirring in my mind as I'm trying to decide what to do. But in the end, decide going to the A point is the right decision. So, we start to move. Obviously this is quite a slow unit, and given the little bit of damage, I actually wanted to sort of do like a bit of a bus stop through the supply point on the way just to get that bit of health back. But as we get here, we actually get a unit of stalwarts is rushing down the stairs to A, and they are beating their way through the gate. So actually we're immediately in trouble. I try and just get a little bit of early damage in on these stalwarts. Stalwarts are such a tough unit to deal with at the moment that, you know, any damage you can get is of benefit. But as our unit gets closer, I'm obviously going to try and push on with these. The stalwarts push up. We manage to get a little bit of bracing damage. I then go for my Flying Reaper to try and get the knockdown. And thankfully these condos hit in the back, and as it causes that nudge, it pushes the unit forwards and we get the damage. I'm able then to get around the back and basically eliminate that unit of stalwarts. The condos charge in, but with a combination of hero and other stuff means we're able to kill them, and the brace secures us about 50 kills so far now. Quite easily, and it shows how this unit can be quite dominant. I then just push them forwards, put them into auto attack mode, and you see they just insta-kill the hero, and then we push through. I decided to not go forward into the gateway because I didn't want to charge out the battle too much. But it kind of goes to show how effective the unit can be in those much larger fights. Stalwarts are always going to be pretty difficult to deal with on your own. As you saw, we kind of got that bit of bracing damage in initially, which did a little damage to them before they were able to brace. And actually those stalwarts, realistically, they braced themselves too early. They should have got closer to me before they braced. And that condo charge into the back of them caused them an element of nudge. But I was also able to knock them over with my glaive's Flying Reaper. But you can do that with any sort of knockdown ability, whether it's a explosive arrow, bomb on a musket, short sword, jump ability. Anything like that will cause that knockdown. And once they get knocked down, they drop their block, so the Fortebraccios will hit through. As then, once the unit was slightly diminished, I was able to get my hero around behind, and then even just an ordinary attack is going to cause stun. And once you get that stun, your unit of Fortebraccios will kill them quite quickly, just getting through that block. So a similar problem here, another unit of stalwarts, and as I said at the beginning, I'm trying to get my unit to go sideways across the stairs. We just get the brace and actually do quite a lot of damage, but unfortunately they push through it a bit too quickly. I wasn't quite set up. I'm able to get a lot of knockdown with my Flying Reaper, but if it wasn't for these friendly paladins that come up the stairs, I think I would have been doomed there. But they come up, and because we've done quite a lot of damage already, we are able to sort of get away with it. We kill the unit of stalwarts and push through them. If you can get the full unit set up covering the stairs, then generally I think you will do okay, but trying to get that in time and in place of the stalwarts to not move is quite difficult, and that's one of the big problems with this unit at the moment, is that stalwarts are just so prevalent and they're so effective at countering Fortebraccios. So onto our second clip, where I kind of wanted to highlight this one because of the use of stairs. So you see, so rather than going directly to the bottom of the stairs, by going side on, it means you can get full damage without taking any damage in return, because the enemy's got to get to the bottom of the stairs and come around to be able to actually hit you. I know it was only serfs, but it's the principle which I'm trying to demonstrate. But anyway, with those units dead, we're kind of pushing on, and I'm kind of thinking about where I want to go to next. Well, the big weaknesses of Fortebraccios is actually going upstairs. They're fine at the bottom and they're fine at the top, but actually on the stairs, they don't brace properly, because they point straight on, they don't actually hit up, and they don't really fight very well in a loose formation either, so yeah, I really either have to get to the top or the bottom of the stairs. I was then thinking about going to the top of the stairs just as the trip landed, so we just managed to get away with that one. But as we push up, with only being a few units here, I don't bother bracing. I just stick them straight into auto attack, and yeah, they just completely finish off the last of those halberdiers. And then, kind of as we push on, you see the damage we get against this enemy hero as we just go in on auto attack. You can see it hits him down really quite quickly, and we get the kill. Just push on and kill kind of the last few of these units. Only a couple of archers left at this side of the push, so not really all that much to deal with. But obviously, by this point, the unit's taking quite a bit of damage, mostly from range, to be honest. So I'm now trying to find a way of getting back to safety. But if you look on the minimap, you can see the enemy's pretty well stacked on the other side, and quite a few enemy archers down there as well. So as I'm coming down, I didn't really want to go straight and down. I just wanted to get off this the tower now, so I could get back and heal up. Fortunately, we get hit by, I don't know if it's a cannon or a musket bomb or something. So I'm just trying to get down, and we managed to get on the floor with only 3 units dead. So all in all, I was relatively pleased. Obviously, I could just control click on the supply point now, but with the amount of enemies that are on the top, and the fact my horse is nearly dead, I kind of wanted to get back to both heal up my horse and to make sure that the supply point isn't actually about to get overrun, because I thought the enemies might be going down the back, you know, around and come and attack the supply point, which is why I'm now checking the minimap to kind of see where they're going. In reality, they actually decide to push along and attack the A point along the main wall. So I get the unit on the supply point, and I'm just pushing back up with my hero initially, looking for my opportunity. Little short bow, don't quite get the kill, which is unfortunate. But as the enemy's starting to push up, I'm calling my unit to me. They are painfully slow. I'm sort of thinking, come on 40s, hurry up, there's so many beautiful kills here to be had. I get in to try and get a little bit of damage with my hero, just waiting for the unit to catch up. And in the end they do, and I stick them initially on auto attack, and look at that damage. We're just critting for 3k, and then I fall back into the brace and just finish off what's left. That auto attack, when they're in that tight clustered blob like that, is just really, really effective, because they've got such long pikes they can just hit everything so easily, and it's much more damaging than brace. But you only get it for a second or two after you press V, because after that they then start to disperse the models into a much looser formation, and you lose that intensity of damage. So it's one of those things you really need to be effective at using. So the enemies are starting to build up on this other point, this other side of the A point, and I'm sort of thinking about what I want to do. Mostly initially enemy heroes, and I was a bit nervous they were going to start pushing down. Pleased to see these stalwarts turn up, good shield unit, and I was kind of looking, waiting to see if we were going to make a push. I thought we were going to make a bit of a push up here, so I'm kind of looking, thinking about it. But then, you know, I don't really want to be the frontline unit pushing into a load of PVs. We have no shields. We will die remarkably quickly to that lot. So I decided to pull myself back. Let's get back behind these shields again. We do see the Iron Reapers go in. I was just thinking, you know, maybe I should have pushed. And then as the rest of the units start to push up, I'm thinking, oh well, okay, now is the time to push in and support. I really shouldn't be sitting back if the rest of the team is going to push. And one of the benefits again here is I'm able to sit not even on the siege tower getting hits because of the length of the Fortebraccio pikes. And then we push onto the tower, we catch a few of those PVs as they run back down. We were to sort of insta-brace into the back of them. But the amount of enemy range fire we're getting hit by means realistically it's not viable to stand there, and more than likely we're about to get trebbed anyway. I'm trying to do my stair move again as we come in, but unfortunately they kind of pull back up. That would have been quite nice to get the damage on the stalwarts there from the side on. I think we could have killed that unit quite effectively, but they decided to sort of beat a hasty retreat, which is probably a wise move on their part, as I send the 40s back to the supply point to get healed up and look for my next opportunity. Those flames are obviously pretty concerning. They'll kill me remarkably quickly if they get the damage in on me, so obviously any opportunity to get damage on them is definitely one I'd like to take. But with the unit healing up, I'm thinking about kind of what's my next opportunity. I notice there's a little bit of pressure on the B point, but there's also a few allies there, so I'm sort of umming and ahhing about what I want to do. I'm also a bit conscious of the gateway. I saw some stuff sort of kicking around, but mostly friendly, but there's a couple of enemy heroes there. I'm thinking, maybe I'll be better off heading down and having a bit of a look down there. So that's what we do, we start to mobilise the unit, and a unit of cav comes through. Actually, Keshiks, doing the obvious thing there, outflanking the supply point. We get away with it here because they're a bit slow and they don't push all the way through. I don't know if I'd have got my brace set up in time if they realistically pushed all the way there. But the rest of the unit braces, the stalwarts brace, and realistically a lot of those Keshiks get themselves killed. But yeah, you've got to be quick on the setup on these Fortebraccios because cav move quickly and these guys don't. And you obviously have to be bracing to realistically stop any cavalry. We push through, we just finish off the wall. Dunk. Nice bit of glaive. It works well for that sort of thing, particularly when you get a rear hit. That breaker of shields does so much blunt damage. It's really good for finishing off enemy heroes like that. But not a video about the glaive, not at the moment anyway. And I'm kind of thinking then, do we need to be defending the B point? But most of the stuff realistically is actually still on the walls, not really a lot on the ground for us to attack. So I'm not really sure there's necessarily a lot of benefit for us to going up there. So I'm kind of looking back at the A point, are we being pressured here? And we kind of are. A little bit of stuff coming up the top here. Again, a fairly hard spot for us to hit. Some ASAPs up there from friendly units, but realistically the bulk of the stuff is dead before we get there. So there's still these stalwarts on the tower, and with the amount of friendly stuff here I felt quite confident in pushing them because I will be able to sit from safety and their brace won't be able to hit me here. And yeah, we get a bit of damage in. But realistically, as they retreat and as we get the friendly flames on, that's when we get the win. Gosh, look at that damage as they turn their backs to us. You know, we're able to get sort of 10-15 kills as they turn around. Once you get through that block or you find a flank or you knock them down, that's when the stalwarts really suffer against the Fortebraccios. But head on, braced, you're going to have a hard time doing any real damage to them with your forties. So as we're going into the closing stages, I'm just trying to find extra kills now as we push down the stairs. They do struggle so much on stairs. As you see here, we struggle to get the hits on the enemy hero. Although we don't really have so much trouble with these Janissaries, which we can just hit from almost full distance. And then I noticed we were getting pushed down this staircase by these Seregs. Lovely unit, favourite unit in the game. And obviously perfect for me, set up at the bottom of the stairs. Goes pretty much exactly as you would expect. Full damage on them, kill them really easily. And this is where I make my ultimate mistake. I decide, well, there's loads more people to kill up the stairs, let's push up the stairs. It just doesn't work. Fortebraccios do not fight on the staircases. Golden rule number 1. They don't really work in loose formation and they don't work in brace. You get a little embrace, but you'll see in a minute, even with them braced, because their pikes point just dead on, you see even though there's units in front of them, they're not really getting any brace damage. I get myself killed and the remainder of the unit gets finished off. You just cannot fight with Fortebraccios on a staircase, they don't work. But anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you've enjoyed my little look at Fortebraccios. They're certainly quite an interesting unit. Yeah, fight on the edge of staircases, fear stalwarts, and don't fight on staircases themselves. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for a load more Conqueror's Blade content. See you all on the next one.